Original.
Hello and welcome to Web Crawlers, the podcast where we do a deep dive into some of our favorite mysteries. Each week, we will introduce our topic, lay out our research and findings, reveal some conspiracy theories, and conclude with our own hypothesis. I am Allie Siegel.
I am Melissa Stettin.
And I, producer Maria.
Melissa, who are our beautiful, lovely patrons for the day?
Olivia, Charles, Kate, Felix, Andreas, Katie, and PK.
Guys, welcome to the team. Okay, so I'm super excited about our deranged episode for today. We got a few emails about it already. John Tenney is going to pop on at some point to talk to us a little bit. But it is about the show Lost.
Ooh.
What the show was, the theories, the conspiracy theories, that deranged finale that pissed so many people off, and then some people pretended they like it, which was insane. And also the show Lost kind of like encapsulates a lot of the stuff that the web crawlers are into, like synchronicities, ghosts, electromagnetic stuff, like astro travel, time travel.
Number sequences.
4,
15, 16, 23, 42.
Oh my God, that's so crazy. You know what I learned actually in doing my research is that those numbers, if you've watched Lost, if you haven't watched Lost, this episode's probably not for you. But as you know, there's a repeating numbers on the show, 4, 8, 15, 16, 23, 42. When the show was airing, those became the third most popular lotto number picks.
Yeah,
wow.
I bet.
Isn't that crazy? No one ever won on them, but
I think I picked them.
Yeah,
because
that would have been insane. That would have been insane if someone won on them.
I know that.
Imagine winning the jackpot, and it's like, oh,
the lost
1,000
numbers.
Other people won this too. You got to split a $10
I'd be
million.
so peeved. That'd actually be a
You
good
get
horror
$100.
movie, and then they kill all the other people who also got that. Oh, but then you probably wouldn't get the money. You'd have to kill them before you'd have to kill them like the night before. You'd have to find out anyone who got
so they don't claim the tickets.
unclaimed tickets. Yes, you'd have to kill them
you get
before
their
they claim their
tickets.
ticket. The show was so popular, even Weezer did an album called Hurley, and it just had the character Hurley on top of it as the cover. Let's get into Lost, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And maybe I might even solve the case.
Ooh.
Can I just say something really quickly about
You can say
Lost?
anything, anytime.
So I watched the first couple seasons of Lost and through the DVDs. I think it was like after it was on, I had the DVDs.
Yeah.
Or someone, I borrowed them.
Me too.
And you did?
Yeah, the DVDs.
And there were some behind the scenes. Like the making of Lost, and then it was like casting.
Oh God.
And there was like Ian Somerhalder.
Ian
Is that his-
Somerhalder or something. Yeah.
Somerhalder. They were interviewing him, and they were like, they were doing the audition process or whatever, and he was like, yeah, I was in the audition waiting room, and it was just me, and I forget who it was. It was like maybe like Hurley or one of the other guys, and Ian Somerhalder's like, I came out of the audition room, I looked at Hurley or whoever it was, and he went, "See you in Hawaii, bitch."
Oh God.
He's my favorite. I love Hurley so much. I mean, protector of the island.
Ian Somerhalder's the one that said that.
Oh, Ian was the one who said that? I thought Hurley was the one who said see you.
No,
mix it.
Ian
It
It has a
Somerhalder.
little bit of a different tone when it's Ian saying it.
Because he came out of the audition room knowing no one else was auditioning, because it was like so he came out of the audition room
killed
being
it.
like, seeing Hawaii, bitch, it's the done deal.
Oh, gross. Okay, I don't
I'm
like
in.
it anymore.
He was right.
I also this morning tried, there was like on YouTube, Lost bloopers. There have never been like less funny bloopers for a show.
Oh,
Like it's
that's
just like,
so awkward when you're
Yeah.
watching a show like they do bloopers and it's like, oh, this is like a weird inside joke that everyone there
Also, it's
shooting
like,
thought
no, but
was
it's like
funny.
this is like a very serious like drama supernatural show. There doesn't it would be like someone like tripping over a rock on the sand and then being like, fuck, and like getting visibly angry. And like, that's what the blooper reel was. And I was like, this is uncomfortable.
Like in The Bachelor, when like a
really
bee
funny.
flies, they're like bloopers, like a bee is flying into the scene, like, like
Yeah.
that's not
Oh,
a-
I
They
like
put
the-
funny music under it.
Yeah, I like the
usually.
batch
Yeah.
bloops. And sound is a big part of Lost too, which we will get into. Okay, so Lost. What is it for those of you who have lived
under a rock.
in a bunker on an island and
In a
haven't heard of the
hatch.
show, in a hatch, haven't heard of the show. So it was a show. It included like a lot of mysterious elements. It was like kind of science fiction, supernatural, like drama, like real, like episodic. Back in the day when, you know, you can't binge watch TV. It happens once a week. I remember super looking
yeah.
forward to it. Like I would have viewing parties with my friends, like a true, I was like a lost head. It dealt with coincidences, synchronicities, deja vu, paradoxes, and other kinds of like scientific and philosophical phenomenon. And also like mythologies, some like
A lot of secret clues.
yeah, historical and religious allegory. So it was a really cool show, really kind of one of its kinds. It aired on ABC from 2004 to 2010, 6 seasons, 121 episodes. It was created by Jeffrey Lieber and J.J. Abrams and Damon Lindelof, and it was filmed in Oahu. Fun fact, I do think that we'll get to later that it was a little cursed, the show. And because all the characters
sure.
had to move to Oahu for like 6 years. And I think they all like went a little nutty. A ton of them got DUIs. Like you're living here, you have to do your show. There's not much to do. Remember there was the guy who played Jack, I think like got drunk and like punched a female bus driver in the face. Do you remember this?
Oh, Matthew,
Fox.
yeah, from Party of Five.
We'll get to that later. Anyways, so pilot episode season 1, it begins, and I'm not going into specific episodes just for those of you who don't know. It begins
What
with
if you went through 121
every single,
episodes?
yeah, this is a 10-hour episode.
So then they find the food in the hatch. It's peanut butter, and then Hurley eats the peanut butter.
By the
whole
way,
big thing.
he did punch a private party bus driver, but it was in Cleveland.
Okay, so then that's fine. Cleveland rocks, baby. You know that Drew Carey show theme song. So there's a plane crash. After the plane crash, it crashes on this like mystical island. It's Oceanic Air Flight 815, and all the passengers are on this island. This character Jack becomes their leader, and throughout the course of the series, they are trying to get off the island, trying to figure out what the island is. There's all these like mysterious phenomenon on the island. It's a tropical island and there's like polar bears there. And they're like, why are those here? There's a monster that's made out of smoke. There's like ancient Egyptian symbols and statues. There's people who have inhabited the island before them. There are these people called the Others. There's like an initiative, a scientific organization that lives there.
Tom Cruise's cousin.
Shut up.
William
yes.
Mapother.
He
Because that's
was
Tom
in-
Cruise's original or last name is Mapother.
He's in the bedroom. He's in the bedroom too. He's
The leader of the others, Ethan.
Is he a Scientologist or is he allowed to not be a Scientologist?
Oh, I don't know. That's a good question. I don't think so.
I forgot about him. He was good.
Scientology.
He was good.
Yeah, he was really good. No comment on Scientology.
So he's a Scientologist. No comment means I'm a Scientologist.
yeah.
All right. So as I said, Lost, this is from philosophycompass.com, and it's about like philosophy and loss. And it says, I quote, Lost is well known for its elaborate and suggestive use of Eastern and Western mythologies and for characters named after philosophers. From the obvious, Bentham, Hume, Locke, Rousseau. So all the characters are named, and they don't mention it in the show. It's not like my name is John Locke. I'm named after this, but it's to kind of set a tone for what the show's about. And part of the fun of Lost was that there were like all these kind of like clues and breadcrumbs left throughout the show that like on your own you could really delve into and discover and see.
Like books they were reading. You would like search the title like, oh, that means that for this character.
Totally. And there's a point, we'll get into it later, where there's like ancient Sanskrit or ancient like cuneiform written somewhere, and like people who watch the show will go and like translate it and see what it says, and it goes back to some Egyptian mythological story, and then that echoes what's going on in the episode. So it's like very layered. It was a really intelligent show until that dumbass finale. All right. In addition, many scientific theories, including quantum mechanics, time travel, atomic energy, and electromagnetism, all play a central part in the plot. So, for example, some of the characters, one of the main characters is John Locke. And in history, Locke was one of the most influential thinkers of the Enlightenment and the father of liberalism. My favorite character, Daniel Faraday, who I have a 57-minute cameo from that we'll play a little bit of.
True story.
My celeb crush. He invited me to say hi to him if I ever see him at Comic-Con. He's named after Michael Faraday, who was an English scientist who contributed to the study of electromagnetism, electrochemistry. So also when these characters are kind of like introduced, if you research their names, you can kind of foreshadow how they're going to play a role in the show. Yeah. Then there's also Danielle Rousseau and her daughter, and they were perhaps named after either Jean-Jacques Rousseau, who was a philosopher who believed that like man is born free, like tabula rasa, we're born clean slates, and then we're tainted by our environment and our situations. Or perhaps the painter Henri Rousseau, who did paintings of different jungle landscapes. So to that effect, I'll go forward a little bit, but then I'll go back. It notes all these different like philosophers, and Lost really like, besides being very specific in, supernatural stuff that it delves into, and a lot of like the conspiracies that kind of remained unanswered, which is I think what pissed a lot of people off. The pilot solidified that Lost was more about like the themes more than like the specifics of what was going on like in each episode of The Island.
The pilot or the
finale? The finale, sorry. So some of the main themes that Lost goes through is like good versus evil, free will versus like predetermined fate, darkness versus light, faith versus science is a big one, morality. And basically like how people like weather their circumstances and kind of karma. Like if we're brought into a situation, how do we deal with it? If we're given certain circumstances that either like push us towards good or pull us towards bad, like will we use free will? Or is everything just predetermined for us? So what the fuck is this island? Honestly, I'm still confused. Like the more I researched it, the more I got confused. It's mysterious. It moves through many locations throughout the world. It's hard to find. It has its own consciousness. It's been inhabited for like thousands and thousands and thousands of years. And there is a light at the core of the island that must be protected.
And there's a wheel.
Yes. The wheel like shifts the electromagnetic energy so that like, and it's built, the island has a lot of electromagnetic energy under it. Like it's like basically like a magnet. Side note, there is the most beautiful butterfly outside my window right now.
Wow.
Like it's gorgeous. I've never seen it. It's not a monarch. It's like, you can cut that out. But anyways, or not, who knows?
Leaving that in.
But yeah, so there's this light at the core of the island. It has to be protected. It's like, and it's plugged with this cork so that the light like can't get out. And it's been protected from the beginning of time from various different people. The first person who protected this light was this woman named Mother, who iconically was played by Allison Janney, and which I forgot.
Right. That's right.
So this woman, Mother, was like, and it's like, is she Eve? Like, is she Mother Earth? Like, what is she? You know, like, because it's never just literal in Lost. So Mother protects the island. Throughout history, people have been drawn to this island and come there, and there's like shipwrecks or plane crashes or whatever. And the island kind of uses the people who come there as like a battle between like good and evil and like free will versus like manipulation to see like the true being of man. Like, is man good or evil? And it's almost like the island is like a microcosm of like what the real world should be. So anyways, this boat crashes. This pregnant woman comes on shore with the boat. She has twins. Mother, the woman who like protects the island, kills that woman and steals the twins and is like, these are my kids now. And these kids are kind of a main plot of the whole show. One of the kids is is a boy named Jacob, and the other is a boy who is never named, but we call him the Man in Black. One day, the twins find out that mother is not their real mother, that mother killed their actual mom and then like stole them. And so Jacob's like, okay, well, at least I have a mom. And the Man in Black is furious. So he decides to leave Jacob and his mom. And that kind of creates like the initial divide. The mother guards, it's so confusing. The mother guards the island. Then these twins, Jacob and the Man in Black, also become protectors. Yes. Bosch. Yes.
Titus Welliver.
Also become protectors of the island. And the mother makes a rule that says Jacob and the Man in Black cannot kill each other. But they kind of have to like fight it out to see like who rules the island. Or like, so it kind of becomes like almost like Jacob is God and like the Man in Black is like the devil. And it's like a thing about like the true nature of humans and like good versus evil and whatever. Jacob throws his brother into the light that exists on the island. And he becomes this smoke monster. So there's a smoke monster throughout the show. And like, that is the Man in Black. That's Jacob's brother. And also they can never leave the island. The Man in Black's main... The Man in Black...
Remember when they were like leading up to like, who's the Man in Black? And then like the big reveal is like, it's Titus Welliver. And everyone's like, who? That guy's the Man in Black.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's so stupid. So Jacob influences real world events for like hundreds of years to get people to the island to try to find like a successor for himself to protect the island in case the Man in Black ever finds a way to kill him. They can't kill each other and they can't leave the island of their own volition. So they have to keep bringing people to the island and trying to influence them to kill each other. The last plane crash we get with like all the characters that we're watching is the people that Jacob brings to the island who he thinks will like ultimately work the best together and save the island and show that like people are inherently good. All right. So, but this island has a lot of weird shit going on it. There's like,
it does.
There's like ghosts. There's weird.
The Dharma Initiative,
which we'll get into. Like people are magically cured there. Like this one couple is cured of, this one woman is cured of her cancer. This one person, Locke, who can't walk, all of a sudden can walk there. So it's like, this is like a mystical.
He was in a wheelchair.
He was in a wheelchair. And then after the plane crashed, he was able to walk again. Another thing is that women cannot have babies on the island. So they pregnancies don't come to term on the island. So there's a lot of weird shit. This is just not like a regular place. This isn't Fiji or something. You know, this is like a weird place.
This ain't Bora Bora.
This ain't Bora Bora, baby. There's a lot of electromagnetism on the island, which is one of the main reasons that it's being studied. What is electromagnetism? I Googled. So
good, because I have no idea.
Yeah, I Googled. It's defined as the force between electrically charged particles. It is considered one of the fundamental interactions of matter. It is the creation of a magnetic field from the movement of electrical charges. So the electromagnetic theories of consciousness, which I think is kind of what's more interesting, propose that consciousness can be understood as an electromagnetic phenomenon, and like quantum mind theory, it leads into that. If our thoughts are electromagnetic energy, then essentially like what we think can be given enough like energy and magnetism to come to life.
Right. Like a simulation.
Well, yeah. So it's like, so on Lost, that's why sometimes like people will see like ghosts from their past, or that one time like Walt like manifested that polar bear from the comic book and stuff like that.
Oh, Walt.
yeah, I have a lot to say about Walt.
I need my son. I want my son.
So the theory, I guess, is it's almost like the law of attraction or something that like on this island, essentially you could think things into life. Again, on this island, also there's something called the Dharma Initiative, who is a scientific group that's studying the island.
Yeah.
They're called the Department of Heretics and Research on Material Applications. Dharma is a Sanskrit term used in Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, and Sikhism. This Dharma Initiative was owned by the Hanzo Foundation. And they were scientists and free thinkers from around the globe who researched meteorology, psychology, parapsychology, zoology, electromagnetism, and a sixth discipline that the film, there's an orientation film that they play. It cuts off and it says utopian social, and then it cuts off. So it seems like they were trying to research a utopian society. Mm-hmm. Which would make sense if you think about like the good versus evil thing and like Jacob versus the smoke monster of like they're trying to figure out how to make man maybe like inherently good.
What was the whole 6-minute thing or whatever? What was that whole thing? Remember someone had to like keep watch.
Oh, press the button every 6 minutes.
Yeah, or what was that? I vaguely remember that.
Desmond was down
they
in
said
that
they
hatch.
had to do it to keep the island running, or like no one knows what happens. They've just been pressing the button, and then didn't like they not press it once and like nothing happened.
Yeah, I think it was fine.
I gotta rewatch. You're really piquing my interest again.
It's
really I watched it all the way through twice. Well, no, I didn't watch the ending. Yeah, but like before the final season, I watched it all again to catch up.
I'm going to again after some of the research I've done.
You're gonna be sitting there like Howard Hughes, just rocking
just
back
my
and
eyes.
forth.
It's gonna be Clockwork Orange. Right?
15, 16,
watching
23,
Lost.
42.
So some theories that are kind of interesting. On the island, there's reference to like Egyptians, Romans, ancient Sumerians. If you watch the show, when they crash, there's a huge statue. It's the statue of Taweret.
Oh,
which is an Egyptian god, and like it's under the water. And you're like, why are there statues from like ancient Egypt in this random place? Like, what is it? We talked about how there's like the light on the island that like quote unquote needs to be protected. And that's kind of like the purpose of them all being there is like protecting the island and protecting this light. The light is kept in with this cork. And on the cork, there's ancient hieroglyphics on it. And then someone translated it, and it says, "Embrace that which the balance hath weighted. Let a path be made for Osiris in the great valley, and let Osiris have light to guide him on his way. He hath reconciled the two fighters, Horus and Set, the guardians of life. Break the immovable yoke that we may sleep, that silence may reign, and we may sleep." So some people after seeing that are like, okay, so is Lost just a series about this ancient Egyptian like myth or allegory about Osiris and Horus and Set, which are all kind of like gods of the underworld? So Osiris was the god of the afterlife, the dead, resurrection. Some people say that is like Jacob. So Jacob in the show is like Osiris. He's like the god of the afterlife and fertility. He's guarding this place, seeing like who can like pass through the afterlife. Set is the god of storms, disorder, violence, and foreigners. So that's believed that that's maybe the man in black. So like Jacob is Osiris, the god of the underworld, who's trying to do like a peaceful transition into like heaven or like the next place. And then the man in black, like the god of disorder, is creating like dysfunction and trying to like manipulate people's like souls or beings so that they can't get to the next like level or something. And then that maybe people say that Jack could be Horus. And Horus is the sky god. He is the son of Osiris, who I guess like defeats Set or something. I don't really know. But one thing that's kind of interesting is that the others named the black smoke monster Cerberus. And Cerberus in Greek mythology is the 3-headed dog that guards hell. So kind of interesting, all these different allusions to Egyptian mythology that have pretty like specific echoes in the show. So like, what is the show? Because some people like after the finale are like, okay, so were they dead the whole time? Was it purgatory? What is this? Fuckboy Damon Lindhoff or whatever was like, everyone should be happy about the finale. It was perfect. Like, you guys just don't understand. So I tried to get a better understanding of it. Throughout the series, there's like flashbacks, there's flash forwards, and then there's something called flash sideways that start happening in season 6, which are super, turns out to be important. So the flash sideways flashes to like an alternate reality where the plane never crashes.
That's some sliding door shit right there.
Tell me about it, stud. So after Juliet detonates a bomb in season 5, she hopes will make the plane never crash. This flash sideways starts happening, and we get to see the lives of the people outside of Lost should the plane never crash. So like Sawyer is a cop, and like Juliet and Jack are divorced and they have a kid, like all this weird stuff. Daniel Faraday is like a piano player. It's all this weird shit. Turns out, apparently, that the flash sideways episodes are actually purgatory. So every episode that happens in flash sideways are where the characters have gone after they've died. So if they've died either on the island or in real life, they go to this flash sideways. And like the flash sideways allegedly is this place that they have all created in their consciousness to wait for one another until they have all died so that they can move on to like heaven or whatever together, is what they allege on the YouTube conspiracy shows.
I have an anonymous source.
Oh shit.
Ooh.
Pop off, bitch.
I can't tell you I can't tell you who or where the source is from.
Okay.
Someone who has written on Lost.
Okay.
When they were interviewing for the job, they asked this person, so what do you think's going to happen with the hatch? Like, what do you think's going to happen? And like, they gave them all like, oh, well, this could happen, this could happen, this could happen. And then they got hired for the job to be a writer.
Yeah.
And then, so they get in the room and they're like, so what are we doing with the hatch? And they're like, oh, we don't know. They have no idea. And then I'll tell you something even more crazy.
Yeah.
So when this person was only a writer for a couple seasons, and then when they saw the finale, they're like, oh shit, they did the joke finale that everyone joked about in the writer's room. Like, oh, they're in purgatory, they're dead the whole time. They're like, oh my God, they did that ending. I can't believe it.
Whoa.
Well, the thing is though, this is controversial because they were not allegedly dead the whole time. Like, the island happened apparently. It's this flash sideways where it's like, yeah, now they are all dead. And then if you watch the finale, everyone in this purgatory has to find one another and connect with one another somehow in order to like remember. It's almost like Sixth Sense when like Bruce Willis remembers he's dead. It's like in this
Right.
in this
Spoiler
flash
alert. Jeez.
I shit. Yeah. Put a spoiler alert before that. They have to find each other to be reminded of like everything that happened and that they are dead now. And then they all meet in this church and they like go on to like.
Right.
So Damon was like very adamant that like, my friend Damon was very adamant that like, no, they were not dead the whole time. But
They didn't know shit. They didn't know what they were doing.
see, that's what it felt like, which gets me to
because
like.
you know why? Because Martin told me because he was a fan of Alias.
Yeah.
That TV show Alias, and that was written by the same people. And I guess there was like 6 seasons. Like, it was a great show, but like the ending was so terrible. And then he started watching Lost. He watched the first 3 episodes of Lost. He's like,
uh-oh.
oh, this is the same shit. I'm not going to go through the shit. So he didn't watch Lost. He's like, fuck these people. And then the ending came around. Everyone was mad. He's like, yeah,
It was heartbreaking.
that's what they do.
And they left a lot of like unanswered questions and like tried to
So
resolve
many.
everyone by being like, this is a show about people and connection. Like it was so cool. All the specifics of like Egyptian symbols or, you know, the studies they were doing, or like one of the characters, Walt, is this like psychic kid who like can manifest things, and he's like can astral travel through. And then like we find out that this group called the Others on the Island is like hoarding psychic children and doing experimentation on them. And then it's totally dropped. We just never find out what that was for, where they went, what's going on with those people. So I will say though, and this was impressive to me that I did not know. Apparently, in 2010, on the 6th season DVD and box set, they released something called The New Man in Charge. And it's an epilogue, and it's 3 segments. And Ben goes to Guam. He shows the Hydra orientation film, and he also visits Walt in Santa Rosa Mental Health Institute. And it's an extra to the whole series, and it's supposed to tie up some loose ends that went unanswered. They did say that the reason polar bears were on the island, it's a really cool, so I would watch it. The reason polar bears were on the island was because polar bears have really good memories, allegedly, and Dharma brought them to the island to do electromagnetic time travel studies. And then Walt is in a mental institution now, and Ben and Hugo bust him out and bring him back to the island to be the new protector. That's worth watching if you want some unanswered questions more or less answered. Let's take a short break for announcements. Web Crawlers has a Patreon to get access to rewards, video versions of episodes, bonus episodes, episodes a day early that are ad-free, as well as random merch drops. Please go to patreon.com/webcrawlers. You can donate as little as $2 a month to become one of our bimbo patrons. Or if you're just a fan of the podcast and like all the effort we put into the 3 episodes a week, feel free to become a patron as well for $2 a month. It's just like a cup of coffee, and it's just telling us thank you for your hard work. Please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, I guess. Who knows about them? Also, Erios has a hotline. Insert jingle here. 626-604-6262. We are so backed up, but I promise we will get to your voicemails. And we will play them on our mailbags. Maybe we like got to increase our mailbag, or like do like a Patreon mailbag or something.
Something.
Yeah, we got a lot of voicemails. Anyways, back to our regularly scheduled programming. Let's bring in John and ask him some of his thoughts.
John Tenney, everyone.
We have John Tenney on the horn, ufologist.
Wait, John, what kind of camera are you using? You look like you're glowing. You look
great.
It looks like you've got like an HD camera.
Yeah.
Or something.
I think it's because the window to my bedroom is right behind my head, so it's giving me this glow.
Maybe, but there's something. You look like professionally shot right now. You look
You
like
do.
Well, the first time in all of recorded history, even being on television, I look professionally recorded.
You
really
should
do.
take a screenshot and use it as like a, send
Nobody
it out
wants
to people.
see that, Maria.
Nobody wants that business. So, John, you were a fan of Lost?
I was a fan of Lost. When it started airing, I was like, okay, this is going to be my jam. It's super crazy. It doesn't make any sense.
Right.
There's monsters and time travel, and no one knows what's going on, and the writers don't seem to know what's going on. This is totally my bag.
And then so before we get into it, what are your thoughts on the very divisive season finale?
So that's what I want to talk about.
Yeah. Oh,
Because
right.
I have, right. So the season finale, I'll make this as short as I possibly can, even though it's obviously a much longer, detailed relationship story. I was dating a woman at the time, and there was a slightly large age gap between us. And
Was
so
she
when we
older or
decided-
younger?
She 80?
She was younger.
Just need to
She
know.
was younger. When I didn't know that when we resolved to start dating, I kind of realized that, oh, there's a big age difference between us. Are we going to be able to connect on like multiple levels? Because is she going to be interested in things I'm not going to be interested in things, and whatever.
Right.
But we were both huge Lost fans at the time, and so it was like this common ground, like to sit around and share like our theories and just go bonkers about what it was.
Totally.
And we made this big plan. We had been dating for like a year and a half.
That's a long
To
time,
what?
John, to be like not sure about someone.
Well, I mean, it was not sure in the beginning.
Okay, got it.
Yes. And then, now, not that there hadn't been cracks starting to show, but our big plan was like to watch, like we were going to watch the season finale together. It was going to be such a big deal. Like
Yeah.
all mysteries will be revealed.
And is this you guys both said season finale, or you're talking series finale though?
Series finale.
I'm sorry, as producer
I know, you
producer
have
Maria
to-
Alley, I have to be on top of it because I'm the listener. I'm listening and I'm going, what the hell are they talking about?
You're absolutely right, Maria.
Thanks, Maria. The fuck are they talking about?
I will say, John, that's a great point because the way that they marketed the series finale was every question will be answered. We've summed up
who's the
everything
man
you
in
wonder.
black?
Yeah.
What's the smoke monster all about? You're going to find everything out.
Where's Walt?
Yeah.
What's the deal with the second kids?
Right.
And then it was just like,
Charlie's death in vain, like
Yeah.
all of it.
Does
Right.
Charlie's band go on with his death?
Yeah,
I just
You
realized
all, everybody.
I know his bandmate, Neil. I know the guy who played his brother or bandmate.
You do?
okay,
Neil
name
Hopkins.
dropper.
Well, no, I did. I forgot all about it, and then I was looking as you were talking about it. And I was like, "Oh my god, I forgot that!" And then I remembered they were like an Oasis type band, right? It was like trying to like be a take on Oasis because it was like the
Yeah.
two brothers.
A little
That
more
couldn't get
rock.
I guess so. Oh,
Yeah.
I forgot about
Oh
that.
yeah, they couldn't get along.
Yeah.
They couldn't get along, and then like one of them's name was Liam.
Oh, that's so
it
literal. That's
was.
so funny. Yeah. Okay, John, continue. I'm so
all,
sorry she interrupted
everybody.
you.
No, it's fine. And so there was this big thing. Like, I think we were actually coming up on like our 2-year anniversary, and so like maybe
boy.
planning like, oh, we're gonna spend our close to 2-year anniversary together watching the season finale, and we'll have this resolve, this thing we've been talking about for a year and a half that we share, that we have in common, and like it's lovely. And then we're sitting on the couch watching it, and I mean, I don't know if you've rewatched the series finale recently.
I watched part of it recently, last night.
The first half is amazing.
Yeah.
Like there are these super tear-jerking moments.
I
and-
literally cried. Like when they feel the
When
connection
Sawyer,
and
I think
remember
it's-
each other.
Yeah, I think it's like when Sawyer and
Juliet.
Freckles.
Juliet, when they like reach for a candy bar or something and they touch and there's a spark and they
Yeah.
remember and you're like, oh my
Yeah.
God, this is amazing. And then like the last half an hour, we sat on the couch and like didn't know what was happening. Like
Yeah.
it had fallen apart. And I feel like in that moment, our relationship was falling apart too.
Wow.
Like everything was just collapsing. Like nothing was real. No one knew what was going on. No one was ever going to make sense of anything.
It's a mind fuck.
All of this time invested is just worthless and pointless. And it was like mirroring, I think, in both of our minds, like, what are we even doing together? Nothing's ever going to be resolved.
Wow.
Nothing is ever going to be solved. And we were both so disappointed. I remember, like, at the end, like, saying, like, okay, well, I'm going to go home. And she was like, okay. And then, like, I went home and nothing was the same since. And then on our official 2-year anniversary, which was, I think, maybe less than a week later, we were sitting we had decided to go to the park, kind of where we met, and we were sitting there and having lunch. And she said, were we supposed to get each other gifts for our anniversary? And I said, I don't know. And there was so much weird tension.
Yeah.
And I really feel like it was from Lost. And I said to her, as a gift, could I give you your freedom back?
Oh my God, John.
And she goes, I would love it, and I would love to give you yours.
Oh, that's
And
kind of
then we ate
sweet. That's
lunch
sweet.
And then,
Oh my God.
then we ate lunch and laughed at how silly the whole thing was, and we've been friends ever since. And we are much better friends than we ever were, like people who dated.
Oh, that's kind of nice.
Wow.
That's
Well,
actually
maybe
nice.
that was the point of the Lost finale, was to make people in relationships realize that they weren't supposed to be in them. And that's what none of us get unless we were in a relationship at that point.
That is true.
I mean, it's really strange because I do think that Lost like ended this relationship. I mean, I know it was ending. Like I said, there were cracks and stuff before, but it was really just this pivotal point where like, oh, watching this show, they've spent millions of dollars and millions of people watch it and all of this time writing it and all of this money to produce it. And it's just that.
Yeah.
And it reconfirmed in my head, like maybe things aren't always supposed to be perfect. And maybe you should just let some things die and start new things.
Wow.
This sounds like one of the better series finales, because it seems like there was a lot that people took away from it. That maybe was like,
it makes you think.
It made you think
you
and
thought
feel.
about it, like the Sopranos finale. You don't forget it. You always think about it.
But I also remember like the ending though is bad. Like it's bad.
Yeah, it's like it's poorly written and poorly like.
It's like the end of like a Lifetime movie. Like you
it
see
really
these
does have
lights
Lifetime
coming.
vibes on
Everyone's like, it just looks shitty and it feels.
Yeah.
It feels dumb. It feels so dumb.
I have a question. Sorry, continue.
I'm sorry. I was just going to say, and honestly, like I was saying, like the last half is bad, but that's not even really true. It's just like the last 20 minutes.
Yeah.
It's like the final act of the series finale. Yeah. It's like they just were like, let's just. Have you guys already talked spoilers about the end and stuff?
This is like a spoiler episode, but I was going to ask you like what you think. What I had gathered was that like the island was real. Like the island is a place that you go that like Jacob and the Man in Black, where it's this like microcosm of like the real world of like good versus evil, like free thinking versus like, and it's basically like trying to test whether man is good or evil or can be. I don't know. Anyways, I'm still confused, so which is why I'm asking you this question. And then so they die on the island whenever they die off the island. And then the flash sideways, that like alternate universe, you know, that they're in, is the actual purgatory where they're like waiting for one another to all die. And then once they all make that connection and they all realize like the Sixth Sense moment where they've like, oh, I remember the island now. I remember my death. I remember I died. That's when they meet in the church, and then that's when like the show's over.
Yeah, I think that's basically what I kind of think. But I've always thought that like the island was the culmination of like the bad parts of you, and reality was like the good parts. And I feel like there were two intersecting worlds. There was a good world and a bad world, and they were existing on the island in one reality, and they were existing off the island in one reality, and they were almost getting like deja vu glimpse flashes of these terrible other realities.
Yeah.
And then when they died, they went to the middle ground, multi-denominational church and waited for each other.
So stupid.
But it's like for all of the time and money invested, like that's what you got. It was really poorly planned out. And I mean, they said they didn't have a book. They weren't keeping track. That's in the, like, if you read Lindelof writing, he said they didn't keep a show Bible and they were just like writing it as it went.
They didn't know.
Must be nice to be a man. So like, what do you think? Like, cause there was so much like ingrained and specifics that I'm sure you thought were cool too. Just like from, you know, like.
I was waiting for a polar bear resolve for episodes and episodes.
Well,
and there was no polar bear resolve.
Yeah.
So I just said, I almost sent this to you last night, John. There is a video, I don't know if you've seen it, called The New Man in Charge, and it's an epilogue. It was released on a box set, and it kind of explains the polar bears. And it says that the Dharma Initiative brought the polar bears to the island because polar bears are animals with really good, I guess, like memory or something, or brain function, and that the Dharma Initiative was using the polar bears for time travel studies.
Yeah,
sure.
I don't. Sure, I guess. But like, elephants are smart too, and
right. I mean, I don't buy it.
Primates are smart.
Octopi.
I really do think they were like, what should this episode be about? Let's put something weird in it, and don't worry about, we'll figure it out at the end. Like, I think that probably at some point they were like, we're just going to say it's a dream. And then when they saw everybody saying, like, this better not be a dream, they were like, oh, shit. Like,
They
let's
got
come
scared.
up with something else.
Yeah. Because it's hard because I want it so badly to be like philosophical story or like Egyptian mythology or something like that. Because there are all these like little breadcrumbs. But then it just seemed like they were like, no, that's not what matters. Just forget about all that stuff. Like, forget the hatches, forget the numbers, forget all that weird stuff. This is just about like love and finding yourself.
I remember back in the moment, this will kind of be my wrap up to it, but
Okay.
I remember back in the moment having the conversation with the woman I was dating and saying, I wish they would have just stopped near the end and had the writers come on and say, like, each of these people represent an aspect of your personality, and the situations they incur are as strange as the situations that we incur in our everyday life. And we don't always get clean endings and we don't always get clean explanations. Thanks for watching Lost.
Go fuck yourself.
Like, and I would have been like, yeah, but I would have been like, oh, that's fucking great that they like broke the whole show.
Yeah.
Or they
Yeah.
could have
Come
had the airline pilot come on and say that from the
Hello,
beginning.
welcome to flight.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Fun.
There you go, Maria.
That guy from Felicity. What's that guy?
But,
The actor?
but having them go to the multi-denominational church that is down the street from my house just felt really unfulfilling.
Was it literally the one that was down the street from your house, or did you just
No,
ingest?
but I mean, like,
Yes.
there's a church down the street from my house that
Yeah.
has all of the symbols in the windows, and
Totally. Yeah. So most people unhappy with it. And we see here that it actually broke up a relationship and caused John to
ruined
reevaluate
lives.
his entire life. Thank you so much for coming on. Any last thoughts about like Lost or conspiracies on that show or anything? Can I ask you one question before you answer that question? Electromagnetism.
Yeah.
What is it? I Googled it.
What do you mean?
I'm still unclear. Why is it so special? Why does it make the island so special?
I don't know. I think that's just something that they heard or read
Right.
in a book about the Bermuda Triangle.
Yes,
They were like,
okay.
Somebody
yeah.
read the Bermuda Triangle book and it said the Bermuda Triangle has a weird electromagnetic field. And they were like, we're going to put an electromagnetic field on the island and say it's that.
To be fair, that's how I would have written the show too. That's exactly
Yeah.
what my thought process would have been, and that's
What's
how it
going
would
on
have
with
shown
Bermuda?
itself.
Yeah.
Just
whatever.
put that on the island too.
A swift Google and then typing it.
But that's like your Allie, your EMF meter. That's all it's doing is detecting electromagnetic fields, which are everywhere. Your computer's
Right.
making it. Every light in your house is making an electromagnetic field.
Yeah.
It's
I
doesn't
brought
really
up
make
vague,
any sense.
well, we already talked about it, about consciousness and electromagnetism or like quantum mind theory. But I don't, like you're saying, I don't think it was that deep. I think this was kind of like, let's plop all these elements on the island to make it a little spooky.
Yeah. I honestly have rewatched certain episodes because I do really love certain relationships in
Yeah.
the show. But I don't watch it as a series anymore. I go back and watch a specific episode. Like
The
the
Not
episode
Penny's
where,
Boat episode is
Ooh.
so good.
yeah. Well, Desmond and Penny are great. Am I
yeah.
wrong on that?
Oh,
I mean, they're
Desmond and
wonderful.
Penny.
my favorite.
That's great.
The whole idea, the concept of a constant that like keeps you grounded through time
Yeah.
and space is a beautiful idea.
I will tell you too. When I had hair when Lost was on, and my hair was kind
Damn.
of short and spiky, and everybody thought that I looked like Ben Linus.
Benjamin Linus.
You're better looking
Yeah.
than Benjamin Linus. You should.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't mind being the weird, scary scientist traitor guy. I guess.
Kills my brother. All right,
gang.
John. Thank you so much for coming on as usual.
No problem. Thanks for having me. Bye.
I had to break up with a guy once because he liked the movie La La Land, and I was like, "How do you like that movie? That's insane."
Thank God.
Yeah.
I want to give a shout out to Michael Giacchino while we're talking about Lost. He was the composer. He did the score for Lost, and he did all the music.
That's good.
Wow.
And he's one talented son of a bitch. You might also know him as he did the music for Up.
Oh,
he
shit.
did the
Oh.
Pixar movie. He did the music for all the new Star Wars movies, the new Jurassic
Is
World
he a friend of
movie.
yours, or are you just a fan?
No, I was a huge Michael Giacchino fan. He did Up, and he's done a bunch of stuff where I was like, oh, he's like one of the great new film composers. It's like between him and Thomas Newman, and I'm like, oh my God, because I love film music. And so a friend of mine posted a picture with him on Facebook like 8 years ago, and I was like, you know Michael Giacchino? And he was like, yeah, come down and have drinks with us. And so he like texted me and was like, come have drinks with me and Michael Giacchino. And I was like, okay. And so I went with Amanda, and we went and had drinks with Michael Giacchino and Kirk Thatcher, my friend. And while we were there, I think Michael was like, yeah, I'm about to do Jurassic World. You should come down to the recording of it. And I was like,
What?
Yeah. And it was like kind of brushed off, but then Kirk texted me and was like, hey, do you want to come down and see Michael conduct the Jurassic World score at Sony? I think it was Sony Studios. And I was like, or Warner Brothers maybe. I was like, yeah. And I literally went in. It was a huge orchestra, and they were doing the Jurassic World score. And I was like, this is the greatest day of my life. This is crazy. And I could like walk around as they were like recording it. But anyway, he got his start doing video games and then Lost, and he's like a friend with J.J. Abrams, so he does all the new Star Wars and stuff. And he's just like I just love his work.
That's so cool. I will say the use of sound in Lost is really interesting. Like,
Just
for
that
example,
intro.
yeah, and then also one of the characters, Desmond, who like is impervious to electromagnetic activity. That's like one of his things. When all the other characters have like flash forwards or flashbacks or flash sideways, there's like a specific like sound attached to it, and Desmond's the only one who like doesn't have a sound attached to him, like time traveling. So it's super specific the way that they use sound in the show, which is really cool. So that's great that you name dropped again.
Yeah, always
of
down,
course.
always down to give some name drop tidbits.
So we got some listener emails about Lost. This one is from someone named Stefan or Steven, Stefan, Steven. Who knows? He says, first, I'd like to ask you why you said the finale was deranged. Secondly, it seems like you, at least Melissa, still think that they were dead the whole time and that the island was purgatory. That is not the case, and that wouldn't even make any sense. Please at least watch a few. Yeah, it's angry. Please at least watch a few minutes of this after this time code, and or read this article. If you want a theory, I've put this one together.
You don't have to be rude about it.
He sent me an article he wrote.
Cool.
Wow.
Well, they didn't know what they were doing the whole time, so you're wrong.
Yeah. And it's basically just all about Greek. I mean, stuff that I agree with. I never said that. It's all about, his thing is all about Greek mythology, the underworld, and all this kind of shit. So he says, so the conclusion to all this would be, in the world of Lost, the underworld exists. Thousands of years ago, there was a meteorite which opened the entry to hell, but it was sealed by the people with this cork. And from this moment, the gate had to be protected. Otherwise, the world would be ended, or something like this. Oh, that's kind of interesting.
Okay, sure.
Then we got another email that I will read on the Patreon if you're interested in that. And then let's end it with this incredible cameo I got.
Oh my God.
So like a year ago, I was rewatching episodes of Lost, and my favorite is Daniel Faraday, played by Jeremy Davies. And I was like, I'm going to get a cameo from Jeremy Davies for fun. So I messaged him on Cameo, and I was like, hi, like I have a huge crush on you. I loved you as Daniel Faraday in Lost. And then I also said that I liked him in the movie Secretary, because it's a horny movie. And I thought maybe I'll give this girl some extra effort. Yeah, he plays the boyfriend. So I was like, and then I was like, will you tell me what causes you care about? Because I was like, yeah, I should hit him with the philanthropy. Maybe he'll be into that. What I received back was a 57-minute cameo.
Crazy.
And he had notes. He had pages of notes that he would refer back to. He told me a little bit about his experience at Lost. I don't really remember. I'll post the cameo on our Patreon so you can see it in its 57 minutes long, but Melissa, play like the first like minute of how it starts.
Sure. Here we go.
My friend Allie Siegel. Allie, my dear, good heavens. I can't begin to tell you how grateful I am. Allie, I'm redefining the meaning of grateful thanks to you. And I'm going to do my best to tell you why, but thank you for reaching out to me. It's Jeremy, of course. And yeah, my friend, I've really been looking forward to this, sincerely, from every last wildly expanded heart chamber. I've been looking forward to this because your message meant so much to me. In many ways, exponentially more than just about every other message.
Okay, we can cap it there.
Because your message is
Wow.
so
Well, that's nice
spectacularly-
that affected him like that.
Yeah, I mean, we're thick as thieves now.
This is
you eat
this is
alkalinizes
30
your
minutes
blood,
in.
which
Oh,
makes your blood flow faster, makes you think faster, it makes you sharp. You know how when you're it's kind of warm in a room.
Oh,
and
pause it for a
you've got
second.
full belly.
okay, yes. So I forgot about this. At one point, he started telling me about how his body and his digestion works better in cold climates than hot climates. And so while he was filming Lost, he was so hot all the time, it made him tired. I didn't ask him for any of this information. This is just offered to me. And so he had digestion problems and he was very tired during the filming of Lost. He told me. Yeah. Keep playing it. I can't remember what he was saying.
So I learned that, like, for me, I had to work much harder as an actor to prepare before I went on camera, to prepare my whole system, because I needed energy. I needed an easier way to convert to food to energy, and worked on all that. And as it turned out, because of all that, the next show that I did, I took all that knowledge and I learned from it, and it paid off. I worked in a cold climate.
Yeah,
on a show
he
called
prefers the cold
Justified,
climate.
up in the mountains.
I think this is
And
so
I got a lot better at eating things that my body could break down easier.
Yeah,
and
he told me
it
a lot
actually
about his
resulted in
digestion.
me- and this is the part where I really will be violently self-deprecating, and I'll be almost proud of it. But no, I shouldn't say that. I'm trying to get healthier about that. But I will be somewhat self-deprecating because I prefer to err on that side. So I started to say, this is the part where I'm self-deprecating.
Okay, yeah. So we can pause it again.
I think that's a great bang for your buck. I mean, he gave you 57 minutes of just
Yeah, I paid like
Let loose.
$40 and I got just off the cuff an hour-long insight into the world of Jeremy Davies, which I mean, I craved and I begged for and I paid for.
You get what you're paid. You get
Yeah, I wanted it, and boy, did I get it.
I think it's nice. I think that you guys would be happy together, honestly. I think that that's like a nice thing.
Well, he ends it by saying that if I am ever at a Comic-Con, that I should go straight up to the table and say hi to him. So, you never know.
I can't wait.
Anyways, so that's just like a little bit about Lost. I don't even know. There's so much more. I would much prefer you guys to send in your theories and what you think, because like I almost feel like the fan theories matter more than what like Damon Lindelof says that the show was.
Yeah, it's more interesting.
I feel like it's like out of the writer's hands at this point. It belongs to the world. Lost belongs to the world. Oh, and I will say my favorite characters were Daniel Faraday. I loved Sawyer. I loved Hugo. Jack can go fuck himself. Juliet can go fuck herself. Kate also really annoyed me. I mean, I could keep going, but that's about it. Let us know who your favorite characters were. Like marry,
Sawyer.
fuck, kill the characters. Let us know your favorite episodes. We can continue this conversation on the Patreon, where I will post that 57-minute cameo. Anyways, I am Allie, Egyptian mythology Siegel.
I am Melissa, the man in black Stetton.
And I'm producer Maria the Hatch Blasucci.
Perfect. Cool. Bye.
Bye.
Original.
Powered by Acast.